Snoopy and the Magic of Autumn. It was early autumn, and the world around Snoopy was changing. The leaves on the trees were turning orange, red, and yellow, slowly falling to the ground like confetti in a silent party. His favorite place, his doghouse, was surrounded by a sea of crisp leaves, and every now and then a light autumn breeze made them dance around him. Snoopy, lying on his doghouse, looked up at the cloudy sky with a dreamy expression. Autumn was one of his favorite seasons. There was something special about the fresh air, the smell of burning wood in the distance, and the soft sound of leaves under his paws. His little friend Woodstock was hopping around, trying to build himself a warmer nest for the coming season. At that moment, Charlie Brown came out of the house, his wool hat on, and looked at the leaf-covered yard. "Snoopy," he said with a tired smile, "it's time to rake up all these leaves. If only I had a little help." Snoopy looked at him with narrowed eyes, pretending not to hear. Raking leaves wasn't exactly his idea of autumn fun. He'd much rather watch nature change or imagine himself on one of its adventures, perhaps as a solitary poet walking through the woods, reflecting on the beauty of the season. But Charlie Brown, with his typical doleful look, picked up the rake and began to work. The sound of the leaves churning filled the air, and Snoopy, noticing his friend's effort, decided to take a short break from his fantasies. He jumped down from his doghouse and, with a very serious expression, picked up the rake in his mouth. He began to imitate Charlie Brown, moving the leaves with exaggerated, almost theatrical movements. Woodstock, watching Snoopy at work, couldn't help but laugh with his little chirps. He decided to join in the fun and began to hopping over the pile of freshly picked leaves, sending up little fluffy swirls around him. Charlie Brown, surprised by the sudden help, smiled. "Thanks, Snoopy," he said, knowing that his dog friend was doing it more for fun than to actually help him. But still, the presence of Snoopy and Woodstock made the work easier. After a while, the pile of leaves had become enormous, a colorful and fragrant mountain. Snoopy, with a flash in his eye, immediately understood what he had to do. He made an athletic leap and landed in the middle of the pile with a soft flop, disappearing completely among the leaves. Woodstock followed him, diving in too, and together they began to roll happily, the leaves flying everywhere, bringing all of Charlie Brown's work back to where it started. Charlie Brown sighed. "I knew it would end like this," he said, shaking his head, but he couldn't help but laugh. Snoopy's cheerfulness was contagious, and soon he was diving into the pile of leaves with his friends. Meanwhile, Lucy and Linus were walking down the path, watching the scene. "How childish," Lucy said, crossing her arms. "Playing in leaves is for children." But Linus, ever philosophical, stopped to look up at the orange sunset sky. "Fall is a magical time, Lucy. Maybe we should join them." Lucy looked at him, raising an eyebrow, but before she could respond, Linus dove into the pile of leaves with a broad smile. Eventually, Lucy gave in, too, unable to resist the festive atmosphere. She found herself laughing and throwing handfuls of leaves into the air, her usual cynicism momentarily forgotten. As the sun slowly sank toward the horizon, casting a warm golden glow over everything, the Peanuts gang found themselves playing together, enjoying the simple fun of an autumn day. Snoopy, lying on top of the mountain of leaves, watched the darkening sky, imagining himself once again as the protagonist of a great autumn novel. Woodstock, nestled next to him, let out a happy little chirp. It was true, Snoopy thought as he watched the stars begin to shine. Autumn was not just a season of transition, but a perfect time for new adventures, laughter, and moments of pure happiness shared with friends.
If you enjoyed yourselves, subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and activate the little bell to stay updated, and see you next friends.